All right, it's Tuesday night, and we're here with the Greenwich Good News Game Plan with Coach Kelly. How are you, Joe?
I'm doing great, Tim. I'm doing great. Good news everywhere. I'm sitting here with my cousin, Monica Flanagan. We've been cousins for 57 years, 58 years, 57 years.
No, less.
That's okay. And we had the pleasure of growing up together. We had the pleasure of working on Wall Street together. She had a wonderful career on Wall Street, and a lot of good things about Monica. But instead, we'll talk to Monica in a minute. But we're going to go to Jill, because Jill, here we are at the Millbrook Club tonight. It's the Harbor Light Organization, which is an organization that supports families or children whose parents have passed away from cancer. And what they do is they do grief counseling, and it's a really, really good organization, and they're good news people. I know we're talking grief stuff, and that's not necessarily good news and not usually on the Good News Game Plan, but basically they're just such nice people doing good things for people who really need good things. So sometimes you're just going to have to point that out, and these people are doing great things. And we're going to have Laura Moore and Anna. What's Anna's last name?
Anna Powers.
Munching
Powers.
Anna Ben Munching Powers will be on, but right now we're gonna go to the actual party itself, where Jill is on the phone right now. Let's see if we can bring her on. Hello, Jill, you're on.
Hi, everyone. Lots of good news going on here. We're at the Millbrook Club, and we have Harbor Lights talking to us about their foundation and what they do for grieving children. And it's been really, really nice and really positive feeling that they're helping all these children that are going through grief. So standing next to me is John Regan. He's from a big family. His dad and brother married his mother and her sister, and they have lots of Regans running around everywhere.
Too many.
Is that okay? Can you do that? Can the mother marry her brother? And is that all right?
We're embarrassing. We're a huge family. I'm so sorry to the people out there. We'll be done.
Oh,
We
don't
also
worry.
have Tim
It's all
Durham.
relative, so it's okay.
We also have Tim Durham, and he's his nickname is Buckets, so I think it means he's good at basketball.
I don't know. I didn't pass.
And
Laura Moore, she's actually your doctor, right?
I am.
She's a doctor, and she is actually, I never get the angles right, but she is in charge of the Harbor Lights Foundation. So it was really nice listening to Laura, and it was all really positive and nice. This is the Good News Show. So you're on Facebook Live right now.
Hi.
And
we're gonna have Laura. We're gonna have Laura in here in a minute to talk to her once we find the first selectman, because he's gone missing. I don't know how the town of Greenwich is doing right now, because we've lost the first selectman. So hopefully we can find him again and then have Laura come in. But in the meantime, we have Monica here, and we're talking to her until the first selectman shows up.
all right.
Good. I'll see you
Sounds
soon.
good.
Thank you.
Bye.
Laura, we'll talk to you in a little bit. Okay, Monica, tell us about your wonderful Wall Street career. Tell us how you started, where you started, and what you did in your career on Wall Street.
Wow. Okay, Joe. Okay, a little bit of a throwback moment. Throwback Tuesday. Take it back Tuesday. So I started, as you know, we grew up in the New York City, kind of the Forest Hills, Kew Gardens, Richmond Hill area. Started as an intern. I was at Fordham University, interned on a trading floor. So started my career as a junior trader, and ended up trading 30-year treasury bonds, and then transitioned into sales and fixed income sales and future sales. So like CME clearing and CBOT clearing. And Joe, you were one of the folks who actually brought all the buyers and sellers together of those treasury securities that our team bought and sold. And so that's kind of how it all began.
It was the boom days on Wall Street. There was limousines lined up in front of the buildings. There was big bonuses paid by every firm to everybody. We really had a good time, because basically I remember my interview when I started on Wall Street. When I walked into the firm, somehow I had it was our cousin, your uncle, because my cousin is your uncle,
Yeah.
Same name as mine, Joe Kelly. What he did is he called a friend of his and said, "Could you hire Joe?" And they said, "Well, let's have him in for an interview." So I walked into the door. They sat me on a couch. They actually told me to put because he was quite busy. He said, could you put your hand out, please? I said, "Sure." And he put his finger on my wrist, just like this. And he said, "You have a pulse. Great. Go out to the trading floor and find a seat." So that's how I got my first job on Wall Street. I had a pulse. So that was good. 1986, boom time on Wall Street. Great stuff. Good fun.
It wasn't always that easy, though, I have to say.
Now, getting in when it was growing was easier than it was actually moving your way up, because I know I am a knucklehead from Queens. I didn't know anything. I didn't do very well in school. And I'm not very smart. So I had to figure a way, how do I get from the entry-level position to a senior managing director, CEO role? And we figured that one out. So things were good. That worked out.
And Joe had a really great career where he traveled around the world. I mean, I spent maybe just under a year in London, but Joe had extended periods in London, Tokyo. I mean, that was one great thing too, because the markets for U.S. Treasury securities were going global at the time. So we had, the great experience of really getting to go around the world, meet with different clients who were looking to purchase U.S. Treasury securities. So that part was really fun too. There was a lot of business travel. Legit business travel, and just opportunities to live around the country, live around the world and live in different major cities and meet with just global investors and everywhere. So it was really fun.
Oh, all good. And we enjoyed our interaction together, growing up together, then being relatives together, staying relatives the whole time, and then actually working on Wall Street, and then working our way out in whatever capacity we are right now in a very comfortable position. Both of us share that luxury. So it's all good. Now, Monica, should we introduce the Harbor Light folks? It looks like the mayor's going to be late. So let's bring in the Harbor Light folks. Can I ask you to go and bring Laura Moore, Dr. Laura Moore into the room? So that'd be great if we can get Laura into the room, because basically this charity, the event we're at right now, it's a good one. They've had some people speaking about how they found themselves in a very, very compromising position where they had either one or two parents pass due to an illness, and they needed counseling. And this group comes in and they give you the counseling you need. So I'm bringing Dr. Laura Moore, PhD, is going to be sitting down next to me right now. Here's Laura. Come on, sit down, Laura. You're here. The Greenwich audience wants to hear exactly what you have to say. We still can't find the first selectman.
Oh, no.
Slide right over. We're worried that maybe the town of Greenwich is in disarray, is not being run because we can't find the mayor. If somebody out there can actually send the mayor to us, that would be helpful. But in the meantime, we are going to have Laura Moore, Dr. Laura Moore, talk about her wonderful charity that we're here together talking about. And there's the mayor. The mayor just jumped in. Hello, Fred. How are you doing?
Good. I had a late dinner. So I had a late dinner. I'm sorry I'm late here.
Well, don't worry. We have Laura. Let's see if we can slide over a little bit. I'll move that to conclude you. Now, Fred, we're at the Millbrook Club. And there is a wonderful charity going on here. It's the Harbor Light Charity, which they work with families that have lost parents, and they work on the grieving children or grieving people. They stretch from Westchester all the way up to the top of Fairfield County. And it's a great organization. They work with young people. And you know what, Fred, you can ask some questions, because I'd like to have you ask questions, because I just heard Laura's presentation. So I'm going to hand it over to Laura and let Laura talk about the Harbor Lights.
Sure. Hello.
So, Fred, do you want to ask a question, or you want me to jump in?
You can jump in, and then I'll follow up with something.
Well, I heard a rumor first that you and I actually have a Manhattanville connection.
We do.
We won't mention graduation years, but I know that we were both there. So
a couple of years ago.
Yeah, a couple of years. Just a couple of years. So Harbor Lights is a nonprofit, and we work with families who are going through loss. So it can be, we started out, it was interesting because I was mentioning to the crowd here that we were working with sick kids, and we started getting calls for healthy kids who had sick family members. And it's kind of like they get lost a little bit in the shuffle, right? It's like, how do you bring up this conversation? How do you have this conversation with a child and talk about death, dying, bereavement? And where's the support that wraps around the parents that need to do that, and the schools and communities that are supporting these families? So that's our goal. Our goal is that no child ever grieves alone, and that they have the support of us, of other people who are going through what they are going through, shared experiences with other children and families, and then their parents and their families and their community and their schools have the support to best know how to help them during this time.
Well, the great thing about that is it's targeted, where there are people. I know that I had lost when I was younger. My father passed away when I was about 10 years old. I was the second oldest of 6 kids, so we had a bunch of kids that had to deal with such an event. And we didn't have that opportunity. As one of the gentlemen who spoke earlier, Irish people lock things down rather than talk about stuff. So we have a whole family of people that lock things down. Probably would have been better if we had somebody like yourself had conversations. So those sort of things are good. So thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for reaching out and targeting those grieving families. So Fred, what do you think? Do you think that there's something we could work with Laura Moore on within the town of Greenwich? And maybe you could think of something from your office that if such events take place, then Laura could somehow communicate or use your office to communicate with people that need such counseling?
Oh, absolutely. Like you were just saying, Joe, I too went through that when growing up here in town when I was I think 5. I had lost my mom and sister within 6 months, and I remember, I had in family and Coscop school, and you don't realize what's going on at that point. But there was no organizations like this. It was just really more your immediate surroundings. So I salute you because it's sadly it's still a fact of life, and it's always going to be, unfortunately. So. If there's something you're doing, or if there's an event you're doing in town, send me a note, and we'll, if you want to get some exposure or you're raising funds, we could put it into our weekly e-blast that we do right now on every Friday. We may switch to every Thursday in the next few weeks, but it's a community e-blast, so we do that. So any way we can help you, Laura, it's people, as Joe said, people. It's always going to be a fact of life, sadly, and people out there need help, and they need it. The more support they get, and certainly an organization like yours, God, again, I wish it was around earlier. So hats off to you for doing this.
Well, as I said, as you know, Fred, because we only talk about good news on the show, it's a unique good news show. The fact that Laura does this in itself is good news. So what we're doing is we're reaching out. We're working together now. As of course you know, Fred, and I told Laura, I serve on the Board of Education, so we have access to 9,000 students. Out of those 9,000 students, there is inevitably will be some child that loses a parent due to cancer. So I'm going to use Laura as a resource, make sure that we talk to the appropriate people on that stuff. And that's good news for Laura and Laura's crowd. She's got a great showing. A lot of people showed up to this event tonight. It was great. And it was great hearing from the people that were the recipients of the good work that you guys do. The good news that you guys bring to these people who unfortunately have received bad news, but now they get good news from you. And that's how it relates to this. And so I think we'll have further conversations with Laura about how we can work with her on furthering her reach, because it's a good reach. It's something that goes out and helps people. But I'm going to transition slightly into Fred. If you could stay with us, that'd be great. But Fred has been oozing good news lately, because now Fred's running for mayor again. He's going to be absolutely reelected, because I can't think of anyone who would be daring enough to run against him at this point, because he's beloved. Everything he's made, I would have not have made the same COVID calls Fred did. He must have had a crystal ball or something. What he did is he analyzed the situation. He was very conservative. He closed the beaches, closed the parks. And I was saying, Fred, don't do that. We had the town party coming up. We got to have that, right? And he's like, Joe, you knucklehead, be quiet. Now you've got to be very conservative and safe. And he was so right. And all the way along, he just happened to make the calls that were just right. So we're very happy to have Fred making all the good calls. He's being positive with all the town events. He's got some great projections, great projects he's working on in town. I'm helping him with one of the local projects where he supported me on rebuilding the Cardinal Stadium, or redoing the stadium. So I'm the point man on that, and Fred was nice enough to support me on such a project and help us move that along. So Fred, talk about some of the other good news things that you're involved in with our town right now.
Well, first of all, thank you, Joan. Thank you for what you're doing. You're bringing across the goal line a project that's been talked about, for a couple of decades now. So you had the foresight and the perseverance to see it through, and we're still have a few more yards to go on it, but we're certainly we're within the red zone there in the 20-yard line. So you're doing a great job. So thank you so much from on behalf of thousands of people here in Greenwich that have been waiting for that project. But there's lots of great things. I'm meeting with a local foundation, hopefully this week about one of our long-standing projects that we've been waiting about 35 years for, to see if we can get some public-private partnership help on that endeavor. We're going to do a ribbon cutting at 11 o'clock on Monday for the brand new bump out at the intersection of Elm Street and Greenwich Avenue.
Which looks great, by the way. That looks fantastic, Fred. Nice job. Thank you. Familiar with Greenwich Avenue?
Yes, of course.
The bump out they have on Greenwich Avenue, that new redoing with the landscaping and the change, that Fred had started that initiative and got it to the finish line. And you said you have a ribbon cutting this weekend? That's fantastic.
Yeah, 11 o'clock, I think, on Monday. And we're really planning to get all those intersections done. We just got the new American flag banners to go up and down the avenue, waiting on the flower baskets to come down there. We have started a free music Fridays. It's every Friday at it's been at 12:30 to 1:30. Local group playing music. We're getting good crowds there. We may push it back to 4:30, 5 o'clock on Friday to get more of a dinner crowd.
Definitely, that'd be great. Now
Yeah,
let's ask Laura if she likes music. Laura, do you like music?
Yeah, I minored in music in Manhattanville. Of course I like music.
Manhattanville. Who else do we know went to Manhattanville? Anyone else in this conversation?
Laura used to listen to music on the quad.
Well, music is something that we do with kids and families all the time because, music has lots of different effects, right? But it's always good. So music's great. I love it. I'm so excited.
Sewell's the Savage Beast, which for me, it helps so I can calm myself down if one needs to do that. So that's an excellent thing. So Fred, what else is great? I just love hearing all the good stuff that you're doing. I'm so proud because we've been friends for over 24 years. And I'm so excited about how your career progressed. And now I think it's safe to say you're at the apex of your career, and you have done so many great things, and you continue to do so many great things. So I'm happy for you. I'm proud as your friend, and just keep it up. And any support I can give you, you just let me know. So tell me more good news, more good stuff, Fred.
Oh, you're great, Joe. Thank you. And we're very proud of all you've done, and certainly your life story is an inspiration to all of us. And I've known you since 1998, and you haven't changed one bit, and don't change. God, you're terrific, and there's lots of great things going on. We're looking at beautifications and enhancements of all parts of town, not just Central Greenwich. We have a Glenville beautification committee going on right now. Lots of good things going on there. We're doing some stuff here in Coscop, starting with the Coscop Mill Pond. We had a done in a day project with the Junior League a few weeks ago, but the town's going to be helping with that to really make that a destination, that little park over there. Excuse me. We're doing public forums for each part of town, so that we hear from each of our residents and our constituencies about what they want to see done, and certainly hear from us what we're planning on doing. We have a brand new energy commission, so we have a group here in town that's really doing great work, that's looking to give us a blueprint of how to not only make Greenwich greener, but also save a lot of money. So we're very, very happy about that.
Well, Fred, I do have to say I'm rather shocked that you have an energy committee.
No, these people are really impressive, and I sometimes they're talking about things I don't even understand, but they're doing terrific work, and we promise to cut down on our municipal solid waste and also increase our recycling efforts. So we have a brand new food scraps program. It's not brand new. We just celebrated our year anniversary. We diverted 34 tons of waste this year into compost. We also have a textile program that we started. We've have the tipping fee has actually paid for our waste disposal efforts now, when we were looking at a $5 million a year deficit. So all that's going really, really well.
Now, Fred, I've got a question on that. May I ask you a question on the solid waste? When you say solid waste, do you mean number 2?
No, that's organic. So that's a different story, Joe. But we are actually saving money and making Greenwich greener for your garden, Joe.
Of course. No, it's all great work. You've created a great team. We're very happy the way things going. And you know what? Everyone in the town's happy with the way things going. So we have an election coming up. We will still haven't set our date for the party, and we'll have Laura to the party at our house because we're going to have a party for Fred to help him go out and meet some folks. So Laura was nice enough and her crowd in Harbor Light to invite me to this event. So what I'll reciprocate by inviting them to my house to your event. So we can get her and all the people who live in Greenwich to meet you and possible. Now, Laura, have you ever met Fred before?
No.
Are you a voter?
Well, I live in Westchester.
Oh, you live in Westchester. So she will bring other voters in.
I will.
Yes. So it'll all be good.
And possibly move to Greenwich.
You never know, right?
Well, with such a good first selectman and somebody who is going to make the school so much better, why wouldn't you want to move to Greenwich?
Right.
Much lower taxes. What's our mill rate, Fred? It's way low, isn't it?
It's a little over 11. Yeah, it's not. It's the lowest in the state.
That's good news, right?
That's good news.
Yeah, I got the theme
She's
now.
got the thing. The good news program. Our mill rate is what? 11. That is good news, undoubtedly. That is fantastic.
And we have we have the best civic involvement in the state, as evidenced by Joe Kelly and all the enthusiasm he brings. Not only is he a great, Board of Ed member, this man led our rugby team to about 11 championships in a row, state championships, which is like John Wood and UCLA worthy. So Joe is symbolic, probably a little bit more than most of us, but symbolic of that great civic spirit in Greenwich. So Laura,
Fred says that.
if you're looking for another place, consider us.
Exactly. I coached 10 years at Greenwich High School, and I won 11 state championships. I love the way you say that, Fred. I don't know how it's possible, but I love when you say that, so it's great.
That will never be broken. 10 years and 11 championships. That's
Exactly. No one will ever outdo that one. Fred, thank you very much. I know you've got stuff going on. You've had a busy day, because I know you always have a busy day, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Fred's always available. And you know what? He gives his phone number out to everyone in the community. We got 65,000 people, and I heard him at public events say my phone number is. Do you still do that, Fred?
I do, but I started doing the town cell rather than my home one, because they were calling me at like 12 o'clock, midnight, and I don't sleep as it is. So I give the town cell, which is 203-585-7800. Call anytime. Perfect.
Fred, thank you very much. I'll call you this week to arrange when myself and Jim will host you at our house when you have a free time for a gathering for voters, a campaign sort of thing. So we'll work that out.
Absolutely, Joe. We're going out to dinner soon, so tell Jill in the next week or so we're going to be going out. And thanks again for having me on here, Laura. Great to meet you.
Nice meeting you.
Okay, take care.
Thanks, Fred. We'll see you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Now, Laura, tell me something about yourself. Now, that's what we usually do in the show, because it's kind of fun. Now, since we had started doing the show, we started it when COVID was around. And the reason we did it is I was running for the state legislature, and I couldn't really get in front of people. So Tim Judge, who you met on the show earlier, he said, I've got a great idea. Why don't we do something like this week and just get out? Tim Judge came on just for a quick second, then went off. And now he's come on again to say hello. But he suggested we do this. So it was basically to help people get to know who I was online. But now this is the first show, right, Tim? We actually have a physical human being sitting next to me, a daring, brave physical human being who will actually sit next to me and chat with me.
I'm proud of you, Joe. Usually it goes the other way, but now it's getting better because people will sit next to you during the show. So it's good stuff.
Well, it's great. We have the show, and then we can reach out to people like Fred. Fred has a busy schedule, so he was at it in his backyard, so he got the phone out and did it, and it worked out great. And you're here. Now, Tim, I'm going to ask some questions of Laura about herself, because the one thing we do on the show is we isolate somebody, talk about what they do, then talk about them. So tell me about yourself. Where did you grow up? Give me a bit of history of yourself.
So I grew up on Long Island. I'm a Long Islander, as we would say. Right, the accent's
Queens,
probably got all
yeah.
right. There you go. I grew up on Long Island. Went to Manhattanville, as I mentioned, and kind of stayed in Westchester after that. I have 2 kids who probably don't want to move because they're in high school right now. So the move might have to wait till they're gone. And so I have 2 high schoolers, and what else can I tell you? So mine right now, Harbor Lights. That's our passion. That's our baby, and what we've really been working hard. COVID's been terrible, but the good news is we're coming out, and we've been able to really start these dialogues, which have been so important and helpful. And even just tonight and talking to people, they're like, well, I had a loss, and you start this amazing dialogue. And I've been talking about Fred Rogers a lot lately, right? I think I'm going back to my own youth, but he said anything that's human, we can talk about.
So what, you basically got into this because you studied it in school, and then you started. You started a profession outside. You didn't start with Harbor Light.
No, I worked in pediatric oncology most of my career, and I was a child life specialist and a health educator, and it's really always been about kids. I knew when I was young that I wanted to work with children. That was always my goal. I just wasn't sure exactly what and how health was going to play in. And I met my colleague, my business partner Anna, who is the other half of Harbor Lights, and we kind of clicked. We have all these similarities, and we both realized this need, even though we were working with sick children at the time, was really to help healthy children.
Grieving children.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Do you want to bring Anna in? You want to drag her in for a quick?
Yeah, I'd love to bring her in.
You know what? Why don't you keep talking to Tim, because you're a lot more interesting than I am.
Oh, great. There she is.
Oh, there's Anna. Oh, great. Anna, tell us something about yourself. We're talking all about Laura here. Anna, tell us about yourself. Give us your background. Tell us how you help everyone.
She says it better than I do. So
Wait, say it again. Say it again.
Well, Anna, why don't you come in here? We have a seat for you in here. Why don't you come on in? Come on in the studio.
Go on in. Go on in.
Come on in. Come
All
on
right,
in.
she's coming.
Oh, come on in, Anna. Grab my seat. I'll stand behind you guys. We're going to sit right here. Come on, jump right in. Okay. And you guys are right on the video there. Now, this is Anna. She's also part of this group. And now Laura is going to interview Anna. So, Laura, why don't you ask Anna a few questions for our show?
Oh boy.
I know. So you want me to do business questions or
We'll talk to
personal?
the
Business
camera.
questions or personal questions?
Well, let's go about what brought her into doing what she does now, her passion about doing it, and then ask something personal about herself.
Okay. So Anna, tell us a little bit about why you thought it was important to start Harbor Lights, and about the amazing person that you found to help you do it.
Oh, thank you, Laura, so much. Well, I was actually just talking about this with some other people that we have outside going right now. Why we started it. I mean, I think death is just a reality for all of us. I don't think there's anyone watching right now. I don't think there's anyone here who doesn't have a profound loss that has deeply impacted who they are as a person. I know that's true for myself. I know that's true for Laura. I'm sure that's true for you. And so what we were seeing was that it's really hard for people to talk about. They don't have the words. They don't feel comfortable doing it. And we're setting out to normalize the conversation, to make death a part of life, and make sure that kids know that that's okay and that they can express themselves and be heard.
Well, if we could now, if you notice right at the bottom of the page, there's your names. Is there some website or a phone number they can call? So actually some stray person who could be watching this, because we're going to give you this video, and then you can put it out to your friends, and maybe they can then see if something, a contact information at the bottom that's extended on. Do you have a phone? How do people contact you guys?
Yes. So very simply, our organization is called Harbor Lights Foundation, and our website is harborlights.org.
Don't forget the S.
Harbor Lights with an S.
So it's not just one light, it's multiple lights.
Many lights.
Many
We have a
lights.
community of lights.
Community.
And we would love you to be a part of it. How's that?
That's perfect. And you can go to the website, harborlights.org, or you can reach us at info@harborlights.org, or Anna@harborlights, Laura@harborlights. Oh, it's like the magic of video. How many kids do you help a year? Oh, that's a great question. So right now we are working through, as I mentioned, schools and communities, and into hospitals, and then individually with families. So that's like a hard number to guess, like, right?
Yes. Well, the problem with telling you that number is there's a few different numbers, right? We have a lot of one-off conversations with families. We have families we see consistently. We have ones that come to our groups. I know for a fact our number on teachers, we've worked with 1,200 educators. Thank you so much for putting that up in the past year, providing education and also direct work. In terms of families, we've seen, you know,
30, I'm trying to think. It's like, I think individual kids, but in terms of families, I'd say probably 30
families, which then
Multiple
in terms
kids.
of the kids, and we also work with their parents a lot. So,
Teachers.
yeah.
So what we're going to do is obviously we promote that amongst the Greenwich community. We have a lot of people who watch this live, and then we have other resources, how it goes out. We have a big following in Indonesia. Tim, do we ever find out why we have all these people watching us in Indonesia? I haven't figured that one out yet, but we've got a huge amount of people watching us in Indonesia. I don't know why. But what you then do is take this and put it onto your network, and then you can pass it forward. People can catch your information and understand what you do, and then you could possibly help some people that didn't know where to reach out for some help.
Perfect.
So hopefully that we can use this as a resource.
And I would say that one thing that we learned through this whole COVID and lockdown, you were mentioning earlier how this is how you got involved with doing things live, right? And to reach out. And what we realized is grief isn't unique to this area, and it's a conversation we all need to be having, and we can reach people this way as well. So we've kind of adapted to being online and reaching people. I mean, we don't have anybody in Indonesia now, but you never know, right? I mean, it's a common thread. It's human. It goes through all of us. So we're happy to help.
The driving connection here is death. Now, death is not good news. This is a good news show, but you guys are good news to people who have experienced grief. So if you want really the essence of good news is when you're at the lowest of your low, and you could be saviors like you guys. I guess the Harbor Lights is somehow related to the fact that you are. Could you explain the name and how it comes about?
Okay, so we use a lot of water analogies in what we do. We consider grief something that you go through. You have to move with the waves of grief. So we worked through a lot of different lighthouse and water-related ideas, and ultimately we landed on Harbor Lights because we always wanted to be a spotlight for children who feel a little lost at sea. Who are grieving and they don't know who to talk to or what to say. I think we consider ourselves those lights. And then we also see those kids as the lights for each other. So that's what the
that is purely good news.
Yeah.
So you guys are good news to people that really need it. Hey, Tim, is there any questions you might have of the crew here from Harbor Lights?
Yeah, I see one. It's how many communities do you reach beyond Greenwich? I will say that is the one, speaking of good news, the one good news that has come from COVID, which is that we were thinking of it much more narrowly. And the simple answer is we work in the tri-state area, predominantly in Westchester and Fairfield County. We are based out of Rye. But really, don't let that limit you. If you have a question, if you're watching from somewhere else, we are happy to work with you. The beautiful thing about all of us learning how to use Zoom and telehealth is we have no real limit.
Yeah, we have lights in Arizona now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wyoming.
We had someone from Alaska,
yeah.
so there you go.
So
But we're based in Rye, so for in-person programming, we'll travel, but maybe not to Alaska.
You might get some people reaching out from Indonesia.
I know.
Still can't figure out why we have 5,000 viewers from Indonesia.
Wow. I love it.
Yeah, so it's good. All right, Tim, you always want me to keep the show to a half hour. Tim usually comes into the program now with something really intelligent to say, something highly intellectual, because my average intelligence is at this level. Tim's is way up here. What do you have for us, Tim?
That was actually my question. How many communities do you serve? So I'm glad to hear that you can reach anywhere, which is great. So if there's anything I can help you with in promotions and stuff like that, because I run this, if I can help you do that, I'd be happy to.
That would be amazing.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic, Tim. Well, I'll send them all the links and stuff so they can push it on to their crowd and their community, so they can push it on to others. So thanks very much. Good night, everybody. Thanks, Tim. We'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See ya.